Hey everybody, BTO Pro here. Today I'm going to show you our latest element that we just put out. Really excited about it because of what we're going to use it for. And it's currently featured on the homepage, which means I just published it like 4 seconds ago. So it's LRNSYS progress. And so sys progress, if you go to the demo site here, which I have open, is a way of visualizing progression through a series of items. So you have active, as far as which item is active, items which you load in how many items there are, overall percent complete, which tracks how far they are through things, and then state, which will show what that is. There's also some events that fire off from this thing. I have a cached copy, there we go. So in the demo, we can see that we start with 0, and we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you see there's a whole bunch of stuff here that's not actually what you need to implement. This would be like if you used a little mini app to implement it, but the actual tag is LRNSYS progress. And so understanding what's going on here, if we hit network, and we'll see the first part of this, there's an iron Ajax call. So there's an XHR that goes, and we see data comes back from the other side. And you see we have a series of items that have a title, a URL, status, a value they're currently at, and then max. And so the way that ends up initially being visualized is active is in this case 0, so this is the first step that I'm on. I can also hover over these. I'll zoom in a little bit here, make it a little bigger. I can hover over these items and we can see the title of what the thing is. Right, a really long title. I can see that that one's a little grayed out because it's actually a disabled step. You would need some additional logic, to kind of unlock that step visually. But and then we also have the fact that none of these are complete, but these are all available here. So then what the rest of this little demonstration does is kind of show what would happen if you wired this up to an app of some kind. So let's do add 50, which if I read down here is going to select progress. So that's the overall bar. And it's going to add 50 points to the active item. So right now the active item is 0 in this case. So I'm going to add 50, and we'll see add 10 and add 10. And you see what you're actually doing is it's visualizing that step out until it hits 100%. And when I hit 100%, it colors it green. This pop-up is just to indicate there's an event that fired and bubbled up from the element. And then you can see we jump to 1. And now we're going to jump to 2, and I can just keep adding 10, 10, and 10, and 10, and 10, and 10. I could also click this, which would make it the active. You'll see it's not finished yet, but right now I have to kind of resolve something between setting what is active by clicking on it versus like the completion state. But I can see how far I am through this, and we'll add 10 more, and you can see then just add 10 more here. Active item is now 3, and I start to crawl through that. And so by the time I get to the end, it says, hey, active item is 5. And once we hit 100, it colors in, and then we get a complete event that bubbles up. So what we're looking at doing with this is that if I were to click these items, it would actually change routing in my application. And then that routing, if you notice from the XHRs, came across, the routing could relate possibly to content on the other side. So using this single tag effectively, we're able to communicate how far someone is through material. Now, let's imagine that this backend is an actual backend. It's not just a JSON file to mock it up, and that these values came from whether that's XAPI data or it's just whatever calculation I want really to illustrate how far I am through something. Most likely what we're going to do for a lot of things is as you would scroll down the page, this would sticky to the top. And then as I'm scrolling through 0, 0's loaded on the page, and I can use the active item event that bubbles up and changes to effectively query and say, okay, well, what's the other data points associated with that? Well, what's the URL? And I could dynamically load the content as I scroll down, but also visualize how far through that material someone is. I could also take these numbers and, if I'm loading down, I'm on a high latency network, I could, have this do some kind of progression status update thing to indicate, hey, it's loading right now. I could also disable these and actually enforce disable. It's not at the moment, but I could disable these steps. And if I can't get to them until the one before it is unlocked, then that was an easy way of pacing people through something. Because if I scroll down the page real fast, I can't get to 4 and 5. They're not going to load until I've actually gone through and these have loaded one at a time, and I scroll and I actually read the material, right? So obviously then you would have to have support for, hey, they completed this, and then set some event on the back end to suggest the next time they come to it, they can get everything quickly so I don't have to, scroll through everything. So still a lot of work to do, but this came out of Sprint the other day, so wanted to show it. It's pretty awesome.